67 at the bottom. And I'm just going to read 3 paragraphs. And I chose this because it was really crucial information that I needed when I first got sober. It says, notice the word fear is bracketed alongside the difficulties with Mr. Brown, Mrs. Jones, the employer, and the wife. This short word somehow touches about every aspect of our lives. It was an evil and corroding thread. The fabric of our existence was shot through with it. It set in motion trains of circumstances which brought us misfortune we felt we didn't deserve. But did not we ourselves set the ball rolling? Sometimes we think fear ought to be classed with stealing. It seems to cause more trouble. We reviewed our fears thoroughly. We put them on paper, even though we had no resentment in connection with them. We asked ourselves why we had them. Wasn't it because self-reliance failed us? Self-reliance was good as far as it went, but it didn't go far enough. Some of us once had great self-confidence, but it didn't fully solve the fear problem or any other. When it made us cocky, it was worse. Perhaps there is a better way. We think so, but we are now on a different basis, the basis of trusting and relying upon God. We trust infinite God rather than our finite selves. We are in the world to play the role He assigned, just to the extent that we do as we think He would have us and humbly rely on Him. Does He enable us to match calamity with serenity? And that last paragraph is kind of how I started to live my life at that point early in my sobriety. And it turned out to have allowed me to have a pretty awesome, happy life as a result. And that's all, Paul. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Kathleen. And just another reminder, this is not an AA meeting, so we don't, yeah, it's important to define that. All right, hey, thanks. Yes, this is one of the, how it works is how it works. So here, the word fear is bracketed alongside. Now, I believe there's fear built into the action figure or our life, but what we're usually compelled by is anxiety, mental anxiety. So I think again, as it says in the big book, the problem resides in the mind. So the activity of the mind can stir up and sort of like fear is an ember, and then anxiety sort of fans it into sort of a fire. Yeah. So the fear is there. It's meant to arise when there's an apparent threat, sort of like if you're in the water and you see one of the fins of a shark, you're probably going to get drenched with adrenaline and you're going to have absolutely no thought. That's in a really fearful situation, there's no fear in it. You're just there. Yeah. And the thoughts come way later. You're there and then things happen and there you go. I feel mostly what we're dealing with in recovery is mental anxiety that sort of mimics the physiological effects of fear. It can't really set the adrenaline off as much, but it mimics the physiological, like short of breath, getting fidgety, all that stuff. But there's no apparent threat. The threat is being presented in what's not happening in the head. Yeah. And I feel it's good to sort of, we're going to live in a world of names. It's good to get the names correct. I don't believe when people are talking about fear, I think they're talking about mental anxiety most of the time, because the person has a fear concerning their fourth house. That's not coming from a fear of not having shelter. Yeah. There's no apparent threat that if they don't get the fourth house, they're going to be out in the streets. but yet they speak of it as if it's fear, but it's mental anxiety. And so how can mental anxiety constantly whip us up? There must be a certain relationship with it that allows it to have a lot of access into our lives and concerning a lot of topics. And I would say it's the act of being identified as this thing called self, yeah? So that sense of self is produced in the mental activity. It is a mental image. And therefore, its fear is mental anxiety, yeah? And so by doing the inventory, obviously, when you do the inventory as prescribed in the book, they have a 4-column presentation. And the resentment, it's easy. The second column is pretty easy. You know what you think the person did that harmed you or threatened you. But it was funny when you do the fear inventory, sometimes there was no second column. There was no reason why you had fear. Yeah. The fear was being made up from the that which is not managerial quality, managing the instinctual agenda. So self, yeah, was causing the anxiety that we were relying on self to get out of. Yeah. Just insane. It's that old thing that Einstein said, you can't seek the solution from the system that made the problem, so to speak. Yeah. So this mental anxiety, I feel, is rooted in the reliance on self. And how we see reliance on self is there's an act of being identified as self, and we're taking ourselves to be that. Yeah. We don't call the act of being identified as self as selfing. We call them my thoughts. Yeah. We call them, oh, this is me thinking. Yeah. So basically, the product that the selfing produces, you already feel like it. Yeah. So this is the weirdest thing. This is why when people get this idea of selfing and they call me up or they text me or email me and they tell me oh, it's amazing. I really got what you said and I've been selfing all day. That's not getting it. Yeah. The feeling of being the one who's selfing all day is the product of selfing. The feeling of being the one who is selfing or not selfing is the product of selfing. The product of selfing is self. Yeah. So the selfing is the only thing that's going on, and the self is the imagined product. And then our life becomes based on this imagined product. And now we have a lot of anxiety concerning truly what's not happening. Yeah. How are you going to get out of something you're not in? Don't you think there's a bigger mental in, and that's trying to get out of something you're not in? I'm not in next week. How am I going to figure out how I'm going to get out of it? I'm not in it. Yeah. I don't see how this escapes us all day. This blows my mind. We're in a bizarro world, seemingly, that we're trying to get out of what we're not in, and we're trying to get into what we're not out. Yeah. We're trying to get into the moment, which we've never been out of, and we're trying to get out of imaginary situations that we're not in right now. Yeah. What you in may not look that glamorous and exciting, but you're here. Yeah. I got my legs up on the bed. I'm sitting in a chair with a pillow. Move the curtain to block the sun. The cat is sitting right next to me on the heater, which is probably the smartest move of any move being exhibited in this room. She's sitting on the heater, and here we go. Now the head may be concerned about 4 p.m, but that's 4 p.m. Yeah. If you're relying on something other than self, you're going to feel pretty assured you'll be able to deal with 4 p.m. when you arrive at 4 p.m. Yes. There's no need to try to get ready for 4 p.m. until 4 p.m. Yeah. You don't have a simulation of 4 p.m. at 10 in the morning. You don't. It's all mental. Yeah. So you have all this anxiety, and then when you arrive, you get the big hit of relief. Oh, didn't turn out like what I thought. That's a form of addiction, isn't it? You get all riled up, and then you're so happy it didn't happen when you get there. That's insane. I worry. Oh, it didn't occur. I feel so much better. Yeah. What would have been cool? This is the beauty of these readings. The change happens at the basis. Yeah. It doesn't happen on the particulars. Those are the skillful means. Those are the prayers, the serenity prayer. That is what helps on the surface, but it's a change of the basis. The basis of our life, from AA's point of view, has been an over-dependent reliance on self, a trusting finite self. And the solution, the better way, is trusting the infinite. That's the deal, yeah? Now, all the particulars throughout your day may seem incredibly distinctly different, but they're all rooted in the basis, because you're the one constant in every moment in your freaking life, yeah? And you are a demonstration of a basis, and that basis, this is what they're saying to us, was, knowing it or not, a deep reliance on self. There's been a huge amount of faith in the finite self. It talks about it so many places, yeah? And that has brought us to this situation, this dilemma of powerlessness, yeah? And perhaps there's a better way, trusting the infinite. We're not asking finite self to trust the infinite. We're losing trust in finite self, yeah? I don't want the God of my finite self-understanding. I don't. It's going to be completely handcuffed, completely. It's these federal or government investigations they do. They set like a certain type of attorney or something, but they completely handcuff the person for what they can actually look for. Yeah, completely. It's already set that it's going to fail. So here's the situation. The relying on self, we're not going to try to convince self to rely on the higher power. It doesn't work. That which is playing God can't stop playing God. It will go on ad infinitum, and especially about God. Yeah. Why does it say, it doesn't say first find God. It says first quit playing God. That's the most important thing. I'm not saying you're playing God, but there is something in us that's playing God. I see it as foreign to me. Yeah. And that's been incredibly helpful, because I'm not sending that to a God rehabilitation. Yeah. I'm not going to send it to a giant 3-year program, because all it's going to do is it's going to be having faith in self concerning faith in God. That's not reliance on the higher power. That's reliance on self. Once again, yeah. A lot of us, there's still a reliance on self now that we're in the solution, just like there was a reliance on self in the problem. That's why the solution may be working on some areas, but it's not allowed to get into the nook and crannies because the parasite won't permit it. That's why most people leave at step 4, because the parasite does not want to be seen. And if you do a 4-column inventory and you get to your role in things, you're going to see self's role in things. You are. You may still call it you, but if you read page 64, maybe you'll have a new suggestion of how to see it, how to see your role in things. You're going to see a lot of self's role in things. And hopefully, the day will have dawned where you'll see that which has defeated you as foreign to you. So you're not spending tons of money trying to rehab that which cannot be rehabbed, self. Yes? You just introduced a power greater than it. That's all that's necessary. That's the only fucking thing it respects, is something greater, more powerful than this. And the condition we're in, we're not that. Yes. The parasite has the host. It's funny when we say in our language, oh, I have a virus. It sure sounds, it looks like for those 10 days or 5 days, the virus has you, doesn't it? But we still claim this authority we don't actually have in the experience of it. It seems like, did you choose to stay in bed, or is it because you had the virus? You had the virus. It seems like the virus had you, yeah? The parasites had us. We were used for transportation. And how we get to a recognition that something other than us has taken us over, because a lot of people that have been taken over by this same activity end up in the same fucking parking spaces, institution, jails, and death. They have a completely different biography, and yet they end up at the same 3 places. There's one driver. Yeah, we are that which has been driven. There's been one driver. Now there's a possibility of another driver, the higher power. We're going to be driven no matter what. This is not an unusual phenomena that something manifested in 100 ways has driven us into situations and conditions. It's happening all the time. It matters what is driving you. It's going to really dictate how your life is. Not you, but what's driving you. And AA has a design for a living that will put us in a new form of basis, which is reliance on a higher power or the infinite instead of reliance on finite self. We don't have to do it. We just have to do the program. We don't have to do it. This isn't like a singular journey. Follow suggestions, get some understanding of the principle, know your condition that you're fucked, and go on. Yeah, a day at a time, the change will occur. And there will be a point where you have moved sufficiently over, you've been moved over to the infinite. Yeah, you'll still be getting radio advertising from the old gravitational pull, but you've broken through. Yes, you're now in the habit of being sober. You're established in a new way of life. Yes. Yeah. The self is going to, if this occurs to you, the self is going to go along with you, and it's going to try to claim it every step of the way. Yeah, it is. You'll stop feeling that something, a new power is flowing for you, through you, and then you'll think you're the new power. Yes, this is what selfing does. It claims whatever we're brought into contact with. It claims whatever we bring it into contact with. Yes? We are the living force. It's like a hitchhiker. It's now talking to us while we're driving as the driver. You can see it sitting on the passenger side. You can, but we're just assuming it's us. It's not, yeah? It may be seen clearly, but it's seen clearly through the passenger side. It's not seen clearly from the driving. Yeah. So what do we get? We get the old fucking map. Yeah. The old GPS. Do this, do that. Yeah. It's going to fail, but you'll just rationalize it away. And if you get overwhelming evidence that you're not managerial quality, you'll fall upon that old delusion. Well, if I could, I just have to manage better. I can't just, I gotta just drink Budweiser instead of Heineken. Yeah. That's not coming out of the mouth of babes. That's coming out of the mouth of self. How many people, if you've been in AA for a while, maybe you've talked to thousands of AA people, did you talk to 3,000 individuals, or basically alcoholism in most cases? In most cases, I've talked to alcoholism. I have not talked to the person. I haven't. And therefore, the advice is quite similar, no matter what they look like or where they came from that I would to everyone else, because you're not talking to the person. You're talking to what has taken them over. I get phone calls. I wish I had it on like my screen, the scam likely. It should be alcoholic. Alcoholic. Okay. Get it? All right. There you go. Exactly. I've heard it. It's like a recording. It's like one of those robocalls. Oh, I'm in jail. Did you do anything to arrive there? No. It's just terrible. What? So how did this? They just can't see their role in things. Unbelievably. Yeah. My friend, he called me the other day. He's finally in another program. He was in that same program 20-something years ago. He was like, his alcoholism is like Halley's Comet. It goes away, comes back in. It's got the same orbit. Unbelievable, same orbit. He was there in the 20s. He was there in the 40s. He'll be there in the 60s. It's just funny. It's freaking insane. I feel it has a lot to do with the lack of clear diagnosis of the exact nature of the wrong. I do. I think if you had a clear understanding, you would put an end to it. You would recognize it. Yeah. When it comes over to extract rent from you, you'd recognize it's not the master. It doesn't own the house. Yeah. You would stop being extorted by it all freaking day, worrying about inane things with the hopes that all that worrying will put away the big thing you're really afraid of. It's freaking slavery. I don't care. I don't know what else you could call it. To be occupied by what's not happening every freaking day is slavery in some way. The point is because it doesn't have to be that way. There's a possibility. Perhaps there is a better way. Trusting the infinite rather than finite self. So he goes into it and then he explains, most people think fear is a cause of a lot of shit, but it's in the view of AA, it's an effect. It's an effect of reliance on self. Yes. See, I think it doesn't really capture it. Fear, I think, is an essential emotion. I think mental anxiety is completely produced by reliance on self. There's so much faith in the thought system that it can override the evidence of right now and have us scared about a future manufactured evidence. False evidence constantly appearing real. That's the name of fear, yes? But is that fear? No. False evidence has to be presented. Something's presenting false evidence to us. And there's some situation that keeps it appearing real to us, even though we have evidence that it isn't, yes? What is that allows false evidence to keep appearing real to us? I believe we're identified as the parasite and we lost the sense of being the host. Yes. I just do. Is it irreparable? No, because it's all made up. Yeah. Your inherent condition hasn't changed in 1 second. On your worst day, it was exactly the same. On your best day, it was exactly the same. Your inherent condition, let's call it a spiritual condition, is a fact. Yeah. Everything else we seem to be going through is an apparent condition. It's appearing to be that way right now. And most of it is manufactured. And you are not the final arbiter of it because your glasses are cloudy. Yeah. We're sort of in a trance. This is a disease of perception. Yeah. So in the beginning, hopefully you'll have enough faith in the program and maybe some of it will trickle down to a sponsor and you'll listen to some people tell you about your behavior. Yeah. And maybe you'll see from their eyes and see that they were right. It blew me away when I went to this program I lived in for 2 years, Delancey Street. Now, every time they were looking at me, they weren't seeing Paul, they were seeing an addict. Yeah. And they dealt with Paul, AKA the addict, as an addict, not as Paul. And Paul did a lot better. They never took Paul's opinion to heart. They saw right through Paul and saw the core. They were talking to the parasite. And for those 2 years, I flourished really in the institutional setting. As long as I was kept away from the driving wheel, the steering wheel, the car went pretty straight and forward. And I would get really upset when they weren't talking to Paul. Yet my life looked a lot better with them running it than it ever did with me running it. Yeah. I don't need a freaking book. I have factual evidence in my own life. The book was just a touchstone to actually illuminate the facts that were already there, just staring at me in plain daylight. Yeah. I needed some eyes to see, and I did. All right. Well, I could go on and on, but yeah. It's right there, page 66. Why are you in so much fear today? That's a question we're supposed to ask ourselves. And then wait before you give your answer. Throw in this answer in the book. Isn't it because self-reliance has failed us? There you go. Like it or not, that's the diagnosis out of the big book. Yeah. What's one of the root of the problems? One of the diagnoses, instead of calling it you, it calls it self. Being convinced self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. Yeah. Us is us. Self is something singular. That's why when you see a fleet of cars that have been driven by the same driver, they sort of look similar. Yeah. There's a huge hint in there. There's a huge hint. Yeah. So, all right. After I recognize self is what has defeated me through its manifestations, we're going to look at its common manifestations. All right. We're going to do an inventory on the common manifestations of self in our lives. That is a way of doing the inventory in the big book. Yeah. Why don't you try it? If you did it looking at your resentments and fears, why not look at resentments as a manifestation of self? Maybe you'll get something else out of the same inventory process. Yeah. Maybe something will be revealed. Yeah. I'm willing to come here till the fucking cows come home and keep it introducing this idea. I do, because I don't really, I know, I just know value of it. So I don't, yeah. If I'm liked or I'm not liked, I could care less. I feel like it needs to be delivered. And this is a reason why, one of the reasons we started this a long, long, long time ago, because I wasn't hearing it in the meetings. I wasn't. I was hearing the same information being passed on. You're going to look at your shit, your shit, your shit, your shit. And yet there's a glaring statement in the big book that it's not our shit. It's manifestations of self in our lives. Let's, render unto Caesar's what Caesar's. Yeah. And this was revelatory for me when it happened a long time ago in recovery. And, my mind has never changed since then. And this, what we're speaking about now in this way of life of recovery, became the last answer for me. Yeah. I needed how it was going to work for me. I truly needed to do all that we do, but finally see that which had defeated me as foreign to me. That's the only way I could entertain truly being free from something. I had to see it as other than me. And when I did, that's what happened. I saw it one night very super clearly, and what followed it was, hey, I can be free from it. As soon as it was given a foreign sense, the possibility of being free from it really became alive. And so it has, yeah. That thing has been breathing ever since, that idea. And here we are, passing it on is what we're supposed to do, eh? Yes. Who wouldn't? I mean, I do it with a good movie. I pass it on. Yeah. Now, I probably wouldn't do it every week, but we're talking about something, not a good movie, but this movie. The movie we seem to be imposed upon and that we're living. Yeah. I think this has some value. So, yeah. Open it up, Kathleen.
Okay, anybody have a question for Paul? You can raise your virtual hand,
Shares or whatever, yes.
or shares or whatever. You know, Paul, I was listening to you and I've heard you talk about that mental anxiety before, and I thought, you know, it's absolutely exactly what it was that I came to AA full of, but it's also to me, it didn't even matter what we called it. You know, it's just a matter of seeing that it was false evidence.
Yes.
Put it that way. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Kathleen, one thing, I have to end at 11:30 because I'm going to go to a live
Okay.
meeting with one of my sponsees.
Okay.
Yes.
Sally has her hand up.
I got to put on my hermetically sealed hazard thing
Oh,
going out
okay.
live. Yes.
Sally.
My little alcoholic Geiger counter. I got to pick it up in the room. All right. Who is
Yeah,
it?
so I was right. So I was thinking, like, one thing I've noticed in myself, and I live with somebody who's a active alcoholic, right? And there's this stubbornness, right? That, like, a refusal to look at anything. Like, I just see this trait of stubbornness in myself as well. I mean, I don't know what I'm addicted to, but my life's a total wreck right now. And I can feel this sense, like, there's this sort of rigidity or closeness to stuff. And even though I've been studying this stuff for years, like the non-duality side of it, and I went to a 12-step program called Under Earners for a bit. But I guess that's the foreign thing, isn't it? That's the thing that's invaded me, that keeps saying, no, I know best. I'm going to fix this. And I can't, because I've been trying to fix it all my life. And I've reached the point where obviously I got to stop. And that my partner's alcoholic is just a horror story, actually.
Hmm.
And yet this stubbornness still stays. Like, there's a little glimmer of thinking, well, maybe if I just do some more breathing exercises, or just get a lucky break, or just get this, or just get that. But that's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing saying that.
Yes. Yes.
Parasite.
Exactly. See, most of its information gets through to us because it's enveloped as us. When it starts getting stopped and looked for as false evidence, it crumbles quite a lot.
Yeah.
And so now it starts getting fucking angry when it's threatened. Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it doesn't want to see, the host could do quite well without it. It's not going to do quite well without the host. So it's a lopsided situation, but the host doesn't know its possibility of power, really. So we've been weakened to a point. It's seen as the more powerful activity. Yes. That's why we have the idea of introducing a higher power, because sort of like alcoholism, you could see it as a little dog masquerading as a big dog, and it's going to continue, yeah, until you introduce a big dog to the situation. Then you'll see the size of it, and it will roll over somewhat, yeah. But your plaintive callings don't mean shit. It just feeds off of it all. It doesn't. You're hoping that, hey, please ease up. It doesn't. It doesn't have a nature like you think your nature is. It doesn't have. It's not going to become a service animal. It's not. You're not going to take it with you. Yeah, yeah. So, see, this is the thing. It can be as angry and as righteous as it wants. We're not trying to rehab it. We're seeing it as not us. It's quite different. Yeah. It's like the old story of the lady saves the snake and then, gets a little eyedropper, feeds it, takes care of it, warms it. And then a day later, it's walking around with it and the snake bites her. And then she's completely surprised. And the snake goes, hey, I'm a snake. That's what we do. So, yeah, most of us aren't surprised anymore. We're clear that it's a snake. Yeah, but we're seemingly identified as it. So we can't entertain the possibility of being free from the snake. We're trying to be free as the snake. Yes, that's the bondage of self. See, the bondage of self isn't like a particular handcuff. It's whatever is around. It bonds you to this idea. So the idea of freedom, it uses for a bondage effect. So you're now could be enslaved to this idea of freedom, and you're jackpotted because you're trying to be free as that which you'd like to be free from. Yes. So this is what happens. This is what happens through misidentification. You can't tell the difference within and out. Yeah. You're thinking you're out of something that you're in, and you're in something that you're out. Yeah. Yeah. It's like sometimes you're talking to someone and you're standing in a physical space and you can see the elephant in behind them, just taking up all the space. They're acting as if there's, they're talking about, how can I stop the elephant from getting in? It's already there completely. It's just it's very delusionary what it does. We don't have clear seeing. We don't have clear seeing. Yeah. Hold on. Hey, Darlene, I'm on a Zoom. I'll call you back in a little while. All right, bye. My landlord. All right. Not this landlord. That one has been the physical landlord. Yes. Yeah. So yes. So that was just talking to you. See why, if you look at AA as a collective, a lot of people have trouble at the inventory process. Why? Yeah. Why do they leave then? They love to take inventory on other people. Why is it such a hard, difficult thing to look at themselves? I believe it's the parasite doesn't want to have anyone look. Yeah, because you're going to see it. It's just the way it goes. And you'll probably call it you, but if you have a new understanding, maybe you'll call it other. Yeah. And that's the beginning of the end for it, really. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's using our power. It's not it doesn't have any power. Yeah. The barnacle is not the ship. It sticks onto the ship. Yes. In this case, the barnacle talks as if it's the ship, and now it's basically running the course of the ship, the barnacle. Yeah. So, yeah, there is a solution. We're talking about the doorway of alcoholism, but the door, what it enters is not through a singular topic. The solution is a loss of interest in self. Yeah, which self cannot do. If self tries to lose interest in self, that's interest in self. So there's a loss of interest in self by doing service, getting out of your own plans and designs, all this and all that. And you start growing on a new basis. Yes. Trusting the infinite rather than finite self. You tell the truth about what's trusting finite self. It's not you. Yeah. Hallelujah. Yeah. So slowly or quickly, the tide is turned. Yeah. So now you're leaving the gravitational pull of the selfing and you're entering the gravitational pull of the infinite. Yeah. You still get, robocalls from the old employer, but you're under the guidance and care of a new employer. Yes. Yeah. Being all powerful, it's going to take care of us. That's been my experience for sure. So yeah. Just like we seem to have grown into a lot of shit, AA says we can outgrow a lot of shit. So we're going to outgrow those old ways. The old ways aren't going to be rehabbed. We're going to outgrow the old ways and enter new ways. This is not about the system that has defeated us isn't going to go into rehabilitation. It's not going to be restored to sanity. Yeah. We're going to be restored to sanity about it. Yeah. It's quite different. It's a different message. I'm not trying to make self better anymore. I saw there was a finite end to that. Yeah.
That's what I wanted non-duality to do, you see. That's why I was doing it. I was meditating and all of this stuff and going to retreats. I hadn't got that bit, right? So I thought, oh, if I do enough of this,
Yes.
then, and I thought I would decide what qualities I was going to do. I mean, it was ridiculous, right?
Well, it was, but it got a message through, hopefully.
Yeah,
so there
sure.
you go.
Yeah, like it's not wasted, but it's just like there was something I just didn't see at all.
Well, yeah, that's why we're here.
Yeah,
because the same thing, I went into non-duality like I went into everything else with me as the focal point. And then then it's sort of like you're trying to be a non-self as a self. It just goes, it's just fucking crazy. But that's why non-duality arose, really, was to dispute that. And but it still happens in non-duality, but it's there to dispute that living from that point of self, thinking it's you, hopefully gets dismissed or weakened. Yeah. And then other possibilities are available, not concerning self. Yes. You recognize what you're not. And that's really being what you are. The being what you are is what sees what you're not. Yeah. If you're trying to make what you're not see what you're not, it doesn't work. It has a prior commitment to support the system. It's not going to be the one that points it out unless it wants to beat you with it and shit or enlarge another aspect of itself, but it's not going to reveal the game concerning itself. That's its major priority. Yeah. So self can't get out of self. Yeah. And it can't be and there isn't a self that's not in self. Self is an activity, not of us. Yeah. Yeah. So if you read non-duality, if you read some stuff, it's there. There was pointings to it quite a lot, that if you don't see this, you're going to be looking from it. If you don't see that something arises and claims to be the one that's living, claims to be the one who woke up, claims to be the one who had the epiphany, claims to be this, claims. That is not volitional or whimsical. It's mechanical. It's a mechanics of the mental activity to constantly use whatever it's brought into contact with to claim a long-lasting, independent, separate thing as being the one. Yeah. It's just, you can be amazed at it. Hopefully with the right understanding, you won't be surprised by it. Yeah. Because it doesn't take to complete overhauls. It just doesn't work. So this is about losing interest in it, not polishing it differently. Yeah, it's losing interest. I don't want to bring up a veneer on it. I don't want to polish it. I don't give a shit. Yeah. I don't see its face as my ass. Let's say, put it that way. So once you see it, it's sort of like seeing the emperor with no clothes. Every time it appears with clothes, you still see it with no clothes. Yeah. I keep bringing it back to this event because it had that effect. When I was about 12, I unfortunately saw my mother naked in a strange position. And I never forgot that. At times, looking at my mom, no matter what she was wearing, that imagery came up. Very disturbing for a young Catholic kid. Very strange. So this is like when you see the emperor with no clothes, it's not to see the emperor with no clothes, it's to see the emperor has no clothes while it's wearing clothes. Yeah. The event isn't to see the emperor with no clothes, it's to see the emperor has no clothes while it's wearing clothes. That's the message. Yep. Yeah. You can spend $8,000 and they may create a situation where you'll see the emperor with no clothes, and then the emperor will wear that as a pair of clothing when you leave the result, the retreat or anything. And you won't be recognizing it because it has new spiritual robes on or something. No, this is, you get the event of seeing the emperor with no clothes, and then you see the emperor with no clothes while it's presenting itself in clothes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's the understanding and its application. It's not, oh, I saw the emperor with no clothes. No, that's not it. It's to be able to recognize it when it has clothes on. It's easy to see it with no clothes on. Yeah. It's difficult when it keeps coming as you and shit like that. Yeah, it has the crude you, the sublime you. It has a lot of wardrobes. Yeah. Yeah. So there's suddenly a recognition that you it has a finite set of wardrobes. Yeah, it's gonna run out. It is. It doesn't have enough pairs of pants and different shirts to fool you. After a while, it starts wearing the same thing. You'll see it. You'll see it. Hey, I saw this before. Then you realize the emperor had never had new clothes. It was always the same old clothes. You recognize a lot about what you're not, for sure. Yeah. Hey, I saw that outfit before. Yeah. You have a quality we all have, honey. Awareness. It's not ours. We don't direct it. It's our inherent condition. Inherent, meaning it's a fact. It's already there before we were there. Yeah. That doesn't go anywhere. It's just shining brightly like it always is right now. Here, what can happen is things can try to misdirect that light, yeah, by moving it, yeah. But you can always rely on it because that which is parading around as the emperor or the new emperor or the rehabbed emperor or the I swear I'm coming to Jesus moment emperor, all that stuff. Yeah. Oh, I finally got it, emperor. all that stuff, you're always before it. You're always before it all. You are the seeing of everything else that arises, because you're not arising. You're here always as what we are. Yeah. Nothing that arises can present itself as always arising to that which is always arising. Yes. That's what we have. That's the point of true reliability. And this is what gives you the sense of recognition of false evidence, because you're seeing it from the truth. Yeah. The truth is lending itself into your vision, and you see false evidence from the truth. Yeah. And then the effect of that on the false evidence is amazing, really. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
So, Paul, you have about 8 more minutes. Brian T. had his hand up. I don't know where he went.
Yeah, sure.
I'm still here. I know time was running low, so I didn't want to butt in. I did have like maybe like a 3-minute share, if that was okay.
Yeah, sure.
So I know you've kind of covered all this, but the head tends to forget to remember. I'm Brian, and I'm addicted to the identification as a self. And I'm trying to question my concern is using music as a higher power. I see music as the only thing that can potentially save my life. It seems to be the only thing that I have left. In my head, God hasn't showed up in the way that I'd expected or felt I've needed. You know, I've logged several hours, days, months worth of trying to get closer, connected, using lots of various spiritual resources have landed me what seems like very little relief. I feel like the answers inside me are actually God, I claim is not there, is what's leading me to it, which is hard for me to grasp. I want something to trust until I can trust, lean on, to actually use as a spiritual source of growth. And the head wants to keep fucking that over. You know, it seems like with the sponsors, I can work through any program that resonates with me, as I have many ailments caused from the original addiction of identification as a self. And it seems like I can use music as my spiritual resource, even like 6 and 7 as the letting go or removal or surrender, whatever that looks like, writing a song about how I was wrong. I can use music as service, whatever else letting music run my life looks like. And I guess I'm just struggling with what to surrender to. That's why I came up with music. And again, it seems like it's my last potential option with the things that I've tried, with what it seems like I have left. And, you know, just showing up in meetings and various fellowships for the last year hasn't really even seemed to give me the push to, that I know I'm safe, I guess. And music, I know I can trust. It's kept me alive in the past, and I've defeated it and my potential by self-sabotaging. So, you know, how much of this is the head? How much of it? Sorry, go ahead, Paul. Thank you for listening, everyone.
Music works, then do it. Of
Cool.
course, you know it's not music, it's something else through music.
Well, I know that. I think that's why I'm asking the question. Yeah.
If that where a small doorway looks like a big open gate, then walk through music. Yes, for sure.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah. What works is how something is working it. Yes. So I found a lot of in water, you know, surfing and shit. So as long as I was capable of doing that physically, I did. And then it came a point I couldn't do it physically. And luckily I was clear that it wasn't the water that was doing it. It was something the water teased out, something that was already there. So that which is already there, just gets teased out by other things now. Just the way it goes. Yeah. So
And
I enjoyed
Paul?
the water a lot, but I see a lot of times in a life here, things are not going to be forever. So you may have something you really like to do, and then some injury may occur and it'll cause you not be able to do it. Yeah, I've been on a table after I almost broke my neck in the water, and the guy said, "You're gonna have to stop surfing." And I said, "Well, I've learned how to give up things I loved before. It's the way that goes." It's just how life is. Yeah, I have great appreciation for all the time I could be in water. And now I'm in water just swimming and stuff. So yeah, if something works for you, there's something that's working through that. Yeah, so yeah, get it, the representative is music, but you're meeting some other stuff there. So yeah, great. I'm all for it. I don't care if it was like walking, backwards on my hands. If that would work, I would do that until it didn't work. Yeah. I found a way that's truly ultimately based on nothing to do. Yeah. Sort of, I've become acclimated with that, and it's works. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna have to say goodbye to everyone. Thanks, Brian. Thanks for
Thank you, Paul.
and
Thank you, Kathy, for your service.
yeah,
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Sally.
see everybody. So Sally, thank you so much today. I'll see you. I got a MacBook Air. And I'm really going to give a lot of credit to Malkin, because Malkin, a guy who used to come to these meetings, he sent me a MacBook Pro. I wasn't ready for it at the time. This happens a lot, yeah? And now I am ready for the MacBooks Air, which is giving me right now I can see people much clearer, and I think the volume is good. Yeah? It was good today? Yeah. So I'm finally attempting to appreciate my audience a little more by seeing them clearer. So, yeah. All right. So I want to thank Malcolm, because he tried to push it on me. I wasn't ready, but see, this is the beauty about things. You may not be ready, but that doesn't mean you're not ready. It's just a matter of time. Yeah. Yeah. So, Michael Stacy, nice to see you, bro. I know you weren't running the show, but you were behind the curtain, I could tell.
Yeah.
Are you going to be there today at 1:30, 4:30? Oh, great.
Yes, I will.
Oh, for everyone, we also have another meeting, 4:30 Pacific time. Sent it on the invitation of non-duality today. And Michael will be there opening the meeting and stuff. So if you want to come, I'll see you then. Kathleen, thank you. And also Saturday Live, make sure you look at the website, Saturday Zoom and live, because we may not be having it. I'm going to be in Mexico, and I think I've got to do a lot of talks. We'll record the ones in Mexico, but they may not be a Zoom. So Saturday will be the only day that we're going to miss. I'll be there Friday till Monday night. All right. All right. Al, Vegas. And Kathleen, that was a great job. Yes, there you go.
Thank you, Paul.
Al, Vegas, fantastic. John, Florida. We got some, I think I haven't met this man before. Where is he? I just lost him. Well, I haven't met him now either. The thing just moved. All right, we got Bill Churchman, as always. Nice to see him. Kathy, Deborah, Mickey, as always. We have Virginia there. She's in the UK. Walter, Netherlands. Anu, nice to see Anu as always. I had a great pleasure of being in Palm Springs with Anu and Mia. Very nice. I'll see Mia in this weekend in Mexico. Verena. Oh, Verena's graced us with a reappearance, I think. Can't see us clearly, but thank you. Nice to see you again. Yeah. Chris in Kentucky. Martin, I think I'm saying it right, Martin. Yeah, good. Chris, nice to see you, Chris. Joseph, Tom up in Washington. I don't know where he is right now, but he's somewhere. Roman, thank you as always, Roman. We'll be seeing each other sooner or later. Yes. Gail from the Pink Cloud. Yep. There's no stoplights in the Pink Cloud world. No, it's beautiful. They're all green. John in Chicago. Oh, nice to see you, John. Brian. Yes, there was these bodhisattvas that they went through the audio. They went through sound. Yes. That was their calling, sound. Yeah. So, all right, let's go move here. I'm using this thing and it seems to work. We got April. I don't think I thought I had met May, but I don't think I've met April before. Nice to see you, April. Natalie K. Bruce, thank you for the donation, Bruce. Laurie, Jacob. Oh, the Hudson. Oh yeah, Jacob. Nice to not see you. I can't see you right now. Wow, there's all these folks here. All right, we've got
Thanks, Paul.
Greg in Minneapolis. Nice to see you, Greg. Nina.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah.
Christian says hi to you. He got his 30-year the other day.
Yes, I sent a message to him. Yeah.
So
I wanted verifiable proof about that. Yes.
Yeah, well, I sat with him and I was really happy to meet him.
Oh yeah, he's a nice dude. Yeah.
Yeah, nice guy. Thanks. Have a great day. Yep.
Miranda, everything's cooking. Good. Very good. Very good, Miranda. Very good. Zoe, as always, nice to see you, Zoe. We got Oliver, as always. I think, let's see if, Joseph in France. What a pleasure. I think that's it. Hey, thanks everyone. I'll see some of you later on. And remember Rule 62, don't take yourself so seriously.